The second of the 4 H's of building belief is handlebarring. Now, the idea of handlebarring comes from the analogy that if you're trying to ride a bike without using the handlebars, what do? Well, maybe initially you might just take your hands off for a second and then put them back on. And now that you're feeling a little bit more confident in your ability to do it, maybe you take your hands off a little bit longer the second time and then put them back on once you're ready. Then once you feel confident and you've had a few runs with a bit of extra backup for yourself, then you can confidently ride your bike without using the handlebars. And if you want to eat a cheeseburger or text or whatever you want to do, be my guest. Now, how that applies when it comes to building the belief of your team members is simple. You want to help them, but not have them rely completely on your help. So you phase your support out in increments. That's the concept of handlebarring. So depending on what discipline you're in, it might be a little bit trickier or a little bit easier to implement a handlebar strategy. For instance, car sales is one that's notoriously bad for people helping other people make sales because the sales and pitches are more infrequent. Whereas if you're doing something like lottery tickets, it's much easier to give away a sign up or a sale to someone that you're training because it doesn't cost you much money. It's not a very big investment. So depending on what you're doing, the amount that you're willing to give with your handlebar is going to change. But the idea still stays the same. What you want to be doing is offering a lot of help at the start, and then rather than just helping them all the time and then trying to fix them when they go wrong, you then, ideally in the same day or as close a time frame as you can, you then give them slightly less help, and then finally you're just there, they know you're there to support, but they're not necessarily going to have you jump in and try and save the day. So let's look at an example of how that might work. So for instance, let's say we're doing something door to door, and the average amount of sales someone will make in the day is, let's say, 3 or 5. Well, the first one, I'll actually do the introduction. So I'll introduce me being the confident, experienced seller. I'll do the introduction, say, hey, how you doing today? And come across with high status. I'll use good icebreakers. I'll build some rapport, and then I'll introduce my colleague. Hey, this is Harley. It's his 3rd week with us. He's getting the ropes. He's going to tell you what we're up to now. Now that rep will do the problem and solution, but again, the closing takes a little bit more skill. So I'm gonna jump back in on the close, maybe add a little bit more impulse like a story or a repitch, handle some objections if I need to, and then get the customer over the line. Well, that is step 1 of the handlebarring. The second step is now I'm gonna let them do their own introduction, I'm gonna let them do the whole pitch, but I'm still gonna be there, and if I need to jump in and save the day with an objection handle or a close, I'm gonna do that. Then the third one, I'm gonna either be next to them and almost be like someone behind a politician when they speak and just nod and smile, or I might even just be around the corner listening in. And that's the third one where they're now learning to ride that bike without the handlebars. So that's the idea of handlebarring, and that's an execution. Because generally what you'll find is most leaders who haven't quite got it yet, they will either overhelp or they'll underhelp. And if you underhelp, that means you're not building the confidence effectively. But then if you overhelp, you're not creating a leader, you're creating a baby because they need you too much. And so really learning how to handlebar effectively, regardless of whatever discipline you're in, is a really useful skill for them to realize, oh, I can do this. And that is where you want every one of your reps to be. One last tip when it comes to handlebarring is the idea of the oxygen mask. Now, what do I mean by oxygen mask? When you're in a plane, what do they tell you in the safety briefing? Now, in case of emergency, if an oxygen mask comes down, put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting someone else. Now, this is really important, especially if you're in something like sales or you're running a business where you're leading the sales team, is you have to get your rhythm going first. So go and get a sale or a promising lead as soon as humanly possible and like double your speed to make sure that happens. Once you've gotten yourself off the mark, now it's time to handlebar. The worst thing that you can do is both of you lose your belief and be negative, because if we remember 60 verse 100, if they can see that you're stressed out and worried about the result, they're gonna think that's okay. You're gonna ruin a good quality rep. So execute that handlebar effectively, but remember to put your oxygen mask on first. Best of luck.